If you are a father or if you want to become a father, this will be the most important video you will watch this week. And I'll give you 6 good reasons to keep listening. I care so much about this topic that I came on top of a mountain to find the right spot where to talk about this. If you don't know me, my name is Luca and I'm completely obsessed with freedom. But freedom is a very abstract concept and it can mean something different for every single person. But for me specifically, it means being able to go on a holiday without asking for permission, creating my own schedule, and not to have to look at price tags whenever I buy something or an experience. And I thought about how do I structure this? And to me it comes down to 2 simple skills: health and wealth. Having a clear understanding of your body and how to influence it if you need it, and how to make money. What is money, how money works, and how to attract more of them and store them away for future generations. And there are so many things around these 2 topics, but if you master these 2 skills, I think, in my opinion, that everything else comes by itself. The most important thing to consider is that if you don't embrace your masculinity, you will have a baggage for the rest of your life. And that will not only impact yourself, but all the relationships you will have with the women or men that you will meet, and eventually with the kids you want to raise. After more than a decade working on forming the skills and the habits that determined what kind of man I am today, which I'm very happy of. Looking back, it made sense that me jumping from one thing to the other was just looking for that abstract thing that I define as freedom. And it makes sense to me to teach it to kids, because if you didn't learn it growing up, because nobody ever taught you, it will make a huge difference to teach it to your kids. The number one thing I saw working in childcare for many years is that people have kids just because they can, not because they are prepared. I understand that there is a time in your life when the clock starts ticking and you feel the urge of having kids, but there is to be some kind of work being done before. People have kids just because they can. They don't have time or the resources to raise kids that eventually will thrive. And this doesn't mean having the resources or the money. It means being able to give them the right lessons, the right skills and habits. And most of the time I saw kids coming to school that they were not emotionally resilient to anything. They were used to eat garbage that made no sense for their body. One kid came to the childcare one day saying, "Oh, I recognize that brand," and it was Pepsi. "Where from?" "My dad has a full fridge of it." And then I saw the dad and he was full of inflammation in the face. And this comes to no critique whatsoever. But you have to understand that the kids imitate the behaviors they see. So if you have very unhealthy, toxic behaviors, they will pick on that. And the phrase I love the most is, if you do not solve your traumas will raise your kids. And I see this all the time. The time that you didn't spend working on yourself will be picked as a debt from your children, which eventually will have to spend many years to work on themselves. And this keeps coming back to the importance of 2 skills: health, nutrition, biohacking, and wealth, understanding money and how to attract them and store them away, investments. And if you can understand and master the skills before you have kids, or when you have kids, if you don't have the first choice, then you will change the trajectory of how your children will grow. Because you will have some children that will understand how the body works, what to eat, and how to eat it, how to heal their body without too many medication or no medications at all, how to make money for themselves, maybe not to have to survive on debt, constant debt, and having to struggle to buy this thing or that thing, or to have holiday, or to even spend some quality time with their children, because chasing money all the time means that you don't have time to stay and relax at home. Imagine you put up a business where there is a recurring revenues, passive income, and now you can spend 8 hours a day with your kids rather than 1.5, which is the average, by the way. The second thing is the masculine. I keep talking about the masculine, why it's so important. And I'll give you some example. Absent father versus a present father. This teaches everything in life. And the mother is extremely important, sure, because the mother has some grounding energy, but the father is extremely important as well, because an absent father that is not emotionally regulating himself takes energy away from the mother, which is constantly in conflict. So the mother cannot give her energy to the kids. Now you have a grounded, emotionally grounded father, which is there all the time. Now the mother has all the energy and the time to give to kids without being stressed all the time with this conflict happening in the house, or the absent father that is not providing on certain things. So the mother has to keep at work full time maybe, plus all the things that a mother does in the house. An absent father has different effects on different stages of the child development. Childhood, teenagehood and adulthood. And this is fascinating and terrifying, and it must serve as a lesson to all the fathers and all the women and all the men out there listening to this video now. And I'm gonna read it to you because I want to be very specific with this. In childhood, from 0 to 10 years old, for boys, an absent father means higher aggression, impulsivity, difficulty respecting authority. School, parents. You don't listen to advice from parents. And for me, it was teeth. I was never brushing my teeth. And now I studied teeth like my life depends on it, because I wanted to understand. But this is for another video. For girls, lower self-esteem, anxiety around abandonment, higher clinginess. For both, insecure attachment, difficulty trusting caregivers. Present father, 0 to 10 years old. Boys, stronger self-control, confidence, discipline. Girls, higher self-worth, stronger sense of safety and protection. Both, secure attachment, easier trust, healthier play and exploration. Now, let's move up. Adolescents, 11 to 18 years old. Boys with an absent father. Prone to delinquency, risky behaviors, fragile masculinity. Girls, early sexual activity, higher risk of teenage pregnancy, body image issues. Both, higher depression, lower academic achievement, lower trust in authority. Present father for teenage girls and boys, 11 to 18 years old. Boys, stronger identity, less need for peer validation. Girls, delayed sexual debut, healthier boundaries, stronger academic drive. Both, greater resilience, healthier emotional regulation, openness to guidance. Adulthood, 18 plus, and these will determine what kind of adult you will become. Absent father for men, struggles with intimacy, anger, commitment, may repeat absent as a parent. For women, risk of abusive partners, difficulty trusting men, father hunger. Both, weaker resilience, addiction risk, financial instability, distrust. Present father, men, healthier masculine identity, stronger emotional intimacy, consistent discipline in parenting. Women, higher partner standards, relational security, trust in self and others. Both, higher resilience, stronger work ethic, financial stability, trusting commitments. You know which one you are. And this all comes down to the fact that you are not giving time to your kids. Healthy quality times. If you were a man that was subject to an absent father, there is time to heal yourself. Time goes so fast, so the sooner you do it, the better it is. And if you are a mother that was exposed to an absent father and you pick yourself because the first step is awareness, there is time. You just have to understand what are the consequences if you don't fix it and find the resources to do so. If you are a parent today, you have to understand that not giving enough time to your girl might expose her to predators because of self-esteem issues or not having a good intuition. And if you have a boy today, you might want to raise him as a man that respects women, because the cycle continues over and over and over again until a big percentage of people start understanding where the main problems come from and start fixing them at the root. The third thing is about fertility, which is a very blurred topic, because when people used to think about fertility, used to think about the women, but it is a man's responsibility as well. There is this doctor called Shanna Swan that I've been following for many years. I've been listening to podcasts, reading books, and she talks about how in the last 30, 40 years and more, 50 years maybe, the fertility rate decreased to an alarming level, 50% plus. And it all comes down to endocrine disrupting chemicals, which is basically everything that we put on our body, like creams and plastic. The biggest example she gives is that the diameter between the anus and the genitalia in newborn babies, and this has been a constant forever, but it has been decreasing, which indicates the testosterone level decreasing over the years, which means babies are born less and less fertile over the years. Now, the most important part that I discovered 2 years ago maybe, I kept hearing about friends and people I was working with about miscarriages, and I never understood the concept of spontaneous miscarriage. What does it mean? The woman loses her baby all in a sudden, and this guy that I was working with, he was a chef. He wasn't training, he wasn't doing exercising, he was drinking, smoking weed, and working crazy hours, the life of a chef, right? 50, 60 hours a week. And the wife had 4 miscarriages, one after the other, and they were desperate because they could not understand why. They had already a baby, and they tried to have the second one, but it was not coming. It took me 2 or 3 years after I discovered a book called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration from Weston Price. And this guy traveled around the world and he studied civilizations around the world that never got in contact with Western food. And then he went to the closed tribes where instead they got in contact with Western food. And the basic foods were flour and sugar. And he talks about how these ancient civilizations, they knew exactly that 6 to 12 months before pregnancy, before you even try to have a baby, both the women and the men had to change their diet completely to prepare their body for pregnancy. And now this is the thing that I discovered. In the first 12 weeks of of pregnancy, the quality of the sperm of the man, the health of the sperm of the man, influences the formation of the placenta. So a bad health for a man means a bad health for the sperm, and the placenta is gonna go weaker. Now we have, I think, a 10% of spontaneous miscarriages in women. That percentage will increase like crazy if the man has a poor health. The most important thing, again, is health and money. Health and money. Health, to have a sanctuary of a body that will take you till you are 99 plus years old, still being able to reason with your mind and run with your body. And money, to have the kind of life you want without having to compromise your soul, like it happens to many famous people. Hollywood, I'm looking at you. Having the time to give to your children, because money means time. Rich people, wealthy people buy time back with their money. The fourth most important thing I want to tell you about is kids observe whatever you do. In the household, outside, doesn't matter. They pick anything you say, anything you do, and they try to do themselves. And it becomes their thinking, their behavior, and eventually a part of their personality. So you have to be very careful on the things you pick and you allow. And if you want to remove something, the only thing you have to do is to work on yourself and remove that thing that you do not want to transfer to your kids, or you do want to transfer to them. And the one thing that is very, very important, mostly today, is kindness, empathy, and compassion. And it's so hard to find compassionate, emotional, empathetic kids today. And I talk to anybody of my friends, business owners, and all the kids grow with this sense of entitlement, like the world owes them something. But the moment you step out of your house, you live abroad, is the first thing that you understand. The world doesn't owe you anything. We are getting to live in a society where it's so easy to look the other way and forget about the person that we have in front of us. There is an aphorism that I love from Gandhi, I think, which is, everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to change themselves. If you want to teach a high leverage skill to your kids, it should be kindness, empathy, compassion. The other thing I learned at my expense is that kids need physicality. They need hugs. They need to be reminded that you love them. Growing up, I never heard this thing. Women, females, girls, they need this the most. And guys, they need physicality, they need hugs. Because if you don't give hugs, if you don't create space to show them how much you love them, verbalizing, giving hugs, giving kisses, they will grow up having emotional blockages. And this is horrible, because you transport this lack of that skill into a family one day and into any relationship that you have. So you want to teach something, make sure every day you give a lot of hugs, as many as you physically can, and you remind them how much you love them. This is a massive difference between the kind of emotional width that you have as an adult. The fifth thing that I keep stressing all my friends about is be careful what you expose your kids to. There are many things that you're not in control of course, because they live in your house, and unless you're traveling 24/7 with them and you work remotely, you eventually have to send them to school, or they have to spend time with their friends. But if you set them with some good principles and foundations, it will be very hard for people or media or animations and influences of any kind to take them away from those foundations. So you have to work on the roots so the tree doesn't move too much away from the ground that is set for them. And the main thing I can think about is, of course, the friends that they spend time with. I love the statement, your kid is one friend away to destroy their life. Of course, you know that you are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So this becomes yourself, the way you speak, the way you think, the way you behave. And if you allow your kids to spend a lot of time with people with bad habits or bad influences, well, eventually it will become like them. And the same works for you. If you invite home all the time people that have a bad influence, they speak in a bad way, any negative thing you can think of, eventually the family and the kids will absorb it like a waterfall. It will fall down on them. The most important part, I keep telling my friend, they sit their kids in front of any screen, a tablet, an iPhone, which should be a no-no, by the way. I have friends that never give tablets or phones to their kids, even if they are peer pressure with their friends when they go out. The friends say, give them the tablet so you can spend some time with us. And the friend goes all the time, no, I'm not giving the tablet, I'm spending 10 minutes with them, and then they relax and I can spend time with you. Why I should coerce my kid to take a flash of dopamine so eventually will grow up like a crack addict when he's older? Instead, I remove them from those things so they will just be exposed to them when their brain is fully formed, and they're not so exposed to these dangers. So tablets, phones, and cartoons. And if you grow in the 90s like I did, you understand that the cartoons were amazing. We had Japanese cartoons cartoons like Lupin, Dragon Ball, exploring the human body, which is a fantastic cartoon, and everything was very slow paced. Today is very flashy. You have Peppa Pigs, you have Paw Patrol, and what else? Bluey, and all these things. Bluey actually is a cool one, but everything's so fast, so flashy, and there are so many subliminal messages. And if you don't believe me, Netflix currently has shows that they display sexuality, or they talk about gender fluidity and things that eventually make an impact on the child. And this child will grow up with so many questions and confusion. And instead of learning how the human body works, or my favorite one, The Last Airbender, which is a fantastic cartoon. It teaches everything: spirituality and friendship, compassion, religion, everything is in there. It's amazing. I get goosebumps thinking about this. And today you have cartoons that just melt kids' brain. What is the purpose of it? The ending is for the kid to spend more time in front of TV, but that's it. And the last one is storytelling. You can do everything with storytelling. You can influence the perception of reality of any kid, in a good way, of course. The most important thing that I would teach anybody, anytime, would be critical thinking. Because critical thinking gives anybody the lens through which they observe, they look at the world. It lets you connect the dots with your own intelligence. And today, too many people follow this or that just because he's an expert or they studied, without actually looking into the thing and forming their own idea. What's wrong with inspecting things and reading 10 books about it and then forming your own idea, listening to 10 podcasts? It's so easy for anybody to listen to one opinion and form an idea based on that one single opinion, which is so dangerous in my opinion. And for me, the biggest example I can give you is living in Italy, in my country, and then traveling the world for 15 years and then coming back and seeing how all my friends that they never traveled, they never expanded their comfort zone, their view of the world, their perception, and the stereotypes that they still have. They still talk about the same things in the same way. It's like Plato's cave. That's the best example. They still see the shadows, not realizing that the shadows are a projection of the outside world that they never explored. You don't want this for your kids. Take nature, for example. If you don't train your youngling with the right lessons, in nature, his chances of survival will decrease from 30-40% to 10-5% maybe. In the real world, we have the same. You say, oh, we have higher chances of survival in the world. Sure, we do. People still die for the most random things, but most people also live a very long time in a body that is automated to do the same thing over and over. So is that life, or is just autopilot, which is, in my opinion, the opposite of life, doing things because is expected to. I grew up as the only kid in a good family where everything was provided. My parents were giving me all the necessary. I had a lot of books, a lot of comics, a lot of amazing experiences in summer camps, and I was learning many skills, but not the skills that I'm so obsessed with today. I want to understand the secrets of this world in a matter of energetics, so how the body works with energy. And when I talk about this, people laugh, but you believe in Wi-Fi and you don't believe in Tai Chi or Qigong or remote viewing, but this is for another video. So I want to understand this, how the masculine works, how it is for people to meet each other and feel their energy or somebody's energy. Understand when the energy in a room changes. If you are very connected to your body, this is the example I give all the time. You can close your eyes. This is Vipassana 101, by the way, if you know what it is. You can close your eyes, focus on a random spot of your body, and I always give the tip of this finger, and I say to people, can you feel the beat of your heart in the tip of your finger? Can you feel the body flowing? And most people say no. And I say, why not? Because I don't feel it. Well, you're not very connected to your body. So as a kid, I was getting a lot of things, material things. And as an adult, I wanted my parents to understand that what really matters in life is the right knowledge, the right habits, the right skills. So if you want to give a present to your kids, have a little bit of foresight and understand what the world will need in 10, 20 years from now, but also provide them some everlasting skills that will be important no matter what. Health and money and compassion. They know how to thrive no matter the age. Forget all they say that you are getting old and you're getting disease. Forget that. And to make as much money as you can, providing the value that the world needs. If you unlock these two things, you can thrive no matter where they place you. All these things are so important to me that I'm developing a program around masculinity, targeting entrepreneur males that either have kids or they want to have kids. And you're asking why entrepreneurs? First, because they have the resources, they understand that this is an investment, a long-term investment. And second thing, because they are more open-minded compared to the other people. They understand the value of creating a legacy, creating wealth, creating a healthy body as an investment as well. And if you want to become one of my first clients on this project, I'm testing now at a premium price. The link is in the description. I am so passionate about masculinity and how to teach the new generation the skills and habits that I'm creating a program to make sure that parents, male parents, understand how to become an authority for their kids, so their kids listen to them instead of everything and everybody else. So they give them the foundation so nobody can manipulate them into anything at all, and they can grow the next thriving generation. I really believe that one generation purpose is to make the next one better. And I want to make this product, this service, as the number one thing that people will go to and create a ripple effect so big that it will influence so many people on the way.